Everybody who's coming out of college right now, you're the back end of the millennials, the Generation Z, they're most likely and more often than not coming out with student debt. And it's crippling. It is something that can really create a stressful environment for an individual before they ever actually get into a stressful work environment.
Welcome to the Inside Forbes Councils podcast. Each episode shares transformative insights and advice from members of Forbes Councils, a group of invitation-only communities for successful executives and entrepreneurs. Today's topic, student loan repayment as a benefit. Forbes Councils member Kelly Loudermilk of BuildHR will explain how offering support for student loans may help some companies stand out as an employer of choice. She will also review a few different providers that facilitate each benefit. It's estimated that 44.7 million Americans have student loan debt totaling some $1.5 trillion. For younger workers just starting out, even the average monthly payment of $393 can make it difficult to make ends meet, not to mention saving and building wealth. As such, this presents an opportunity to employers looking to attract young talent.
I want to talk about as a very specific benefit that you should start to explore to enrich your benefit package. And this is for small business owners alike that don't have the resources to, create these intricate benefit packages. The benefit I want to talk to you about is student loan repayment.
That's Kelly Loudermilk, founder and chief talent innovator at BuildHR.
What we do at BuildHR is help with all of your people operations or HR management for small businesses that don't have HR themselves, or they might have an office manager or an HR assistant kind of playing the part, but need a little bit more support there. And so that's what we do. We're basically an outsourced HR department. And we've also partnered a little bit with Fortune 500 companies around special projects that have been really exciting as well. But that's just kind of the gist of what we do.
So why should employers consider a student loan repayment program as part of a benefits package?
This is a really big trend happening right now. And I mean big in the way that more and more employers are starting to talk about it. They're starting to explore it. I know SHRM, the Society of HR Management, is really playing an active role with legislators and trying to get loan repayment tax credits for employers. The student debt crisis is something people talk about. So it's a trend in that regard. It's not something that you see sweeping the nation as a trend where companies are offering this, but it's a trend in the sense that it is something that is talked about on a regular basis. And I want you to take a look at this benefit of student loan repayment because one, you could be ahead of the marketplace and be more competitive in terms of your offers. And two, everybody who's coming out of college right now, you're the back end of the millennials, the Generation Z, they're most likely and more often than not coming out with student debt. And it's crippling.
How exactly do student loans create a burden?
It is something that can really create a stressful environment for an individual before they ever actually get into a stressful work environment. And you don't want them having that personal stress carry over into the workplace because it will impact their productivity and it will impact their overall attitude in the workplace. And that's something you want to avoid. And the reason why I talk about this is that more companies are really taking an initiative around financial wellness. It's something that a lot of wellness committees talk about, or even benefits administrators talk about, in the sense that we want to, create a financial wellness awareness around the organization to say we care about you as a whole, not just when you're on site as an employee. And people will offer resources or classes or talk about how to be ready for retirement, etc.
How would a student loan repayment benefit effectively work?
So there's a couple of different people in the marketplace like this, and I only know of two. I am not promoting these based on compensation or anything. I'm only just mentioning these two companies because out of my own research and Googling, these are the two that really stood out to me and the simplest that I saw, but feel free to absolutely do your own research. But one of them is Gratify. And I really like them because they have a couple of different solutions. And one of them is completely free to employers other than your initiation fee, essentially just to get everything installed and set up and all that jazz. But otherwise, it's free for the employer other than that fee. And that allows to provide resources, consolidation, refinancing of student debt specifically to the employees. And I love that because if you're not a huge employer, you can't afford to pay back student loans, you can't do a lot of things like that. This can still make an impact in some way, shape, or form within your budget as a small employer or just as a mid-sized employer that doesn't have the financial means for it. So I love that because it's a start and it's a good place to start because you could always get to the point of starting to contribute to those loan payments as an employer as you grow, but this is a great entryway into getting that growth. Another level that they offer at Gratify is, you get access to all of the same resources, but you actually can submit payments through that portal as an employer to the employee student loan. And it does incorporate with a few payroll technologies as well to ensure, the easeability or the transferability of all that information, which is great. And I like that because even if you're contributing $25 a paycheck as an employer, the impact that can make over time, just in addition to maybe the minimum payment that the individual is making, is huge. I mean, we all know that if you pay over the minimum payment, you are impacting that principal in a good way. So even if you are a smaller employee, if you're able to do $25 a paycheck, that's amazing and try it. But if not, go for the free version and then test it out or do $500 a year or, $100 a quarter. Another one is loangifting.com and they have a few different resources. The thing I love about them, I don't think they're as sleek as Gratify in terms of the whole portal and everything, but they are absolutely free. There is no initial setup fee. There is no, hoops that you have to jump through. It's 100% free for employers. And I love that because as a small business myself, it's better to have that as free instead of not. But essentially, it still offers the same resources to consolidation, refinancing, education awareness, things like that for student debt. But it also offers the ability to contribute as well. And how they receive their money is that they do get a percentage of the contributions you make in terms of your payments. So that is the way that they make their money. I don't know. I didn't do like a ton of digging into their website to where if you do use their platform, if you are required to make contributions or not. So that is something that you need to look at. But those are the two that I really liked the majority of the way. And the reason why this is so important is that, like I mentioned, that negativity that impacts somebody's individual life can carry over into the workplace. And if you're able to alleviate just a small amount of that negativity or that stress in their personal life, such as this in a financial manner, I mean, student debt is no small task, and as well as it is no small thing to push under the rug. It is in our faces, it is yelling at us, and we want to tackle it. And if you're able to help with that as an employer, not only will you stand out as an employer of choice, but it really showcases your overall wellness initiative and the impact and the caring that you have for your employees.
What makes one of these programs attractive, particularly to small businesses?
So I would say if you're a small employer, I would definitely look into this because you as a smaller employer may not have the salaries to compete with large corporations or the fancy benefit packages. But this could be a really good way to differentiate yourself. And I think more often than not, I think what I saw was up to 80% of candidates said that if you offered some sort of benefit around student debt, they would be more likely to consider you versus another offer. So I think that speaks volumes in just that number. And again, I don't remember exactly the source. It was a LinkedIn article, but it stuck with me. And I think as a smaller employer, it's something to think about. I also think that if you are a larger employer and you're able to add this on to your benefits package, not only would it enrich your benefits package, but if you're able to do those contributions just like you would like in a retirement package situation, the more the better.
Employers often receive tax incentive for offering benefits to employees. What's the situation here?
We are working on getting this legislation passed around employer tax credits with repayments. There's a lot of talk about how this debt is crippling to the younger generations. There's a lot of talk about companies trying to find innovative ways to attract talent. And this particular benefit meets all of that. It is a way to attract talent. It's a way to increase your benefits package. It's a way to tackle this crisis. It's a way to really stand out as an employer, and something that wouldn't take a lot to initiate.
What's the first step for a small business owner who might be interested in one of these programs?
My call to action for you is to talk to your benefits administrator or your HR manager or your owner, whatever that structure may look like for you, and see if this is an option to explore to have in your next open enrollment. It doesn't have to be today, but I would say in the next calendar year, you're going to see more and more employers jump on this bandwagon, understanding the importance of the benefit. And not only will that grow the marketplace for providers in that regard, but I think it's also going to make it more competitive from a benefits package standpoint. Salaries are always a competitive topic when it comes to competing offers. It's time to update your benefits and create a more enriching wellness initiative for the people that work for you and stand out outside of just your salary. And so I would say just jump on Google, start researching. You're going to find a lot of information that's going to confirm the need for this and really, jazz your fire, if you will, to move forward. But I will say, gratifying, loangifting.com, those were the two that I saw the lowest entry points in terms of cost for employers. I'm sure there are others. There's obviously more research that needs to be done on my end from a consumer standpoint, but I do think, if anything, you should definitely look into this to consider to offer for your next open enrollment.
Student loan debt is a very real issue, and while policymakers debate how to address it, graduates are still forced to make good on the loans while covering everyday expenses and saving for the future. Helping them achieve some additional financial security is one way a business can stand out to prospects. I'd like to thank Kelly Loudermilk of BuildHR for sharing her insights. You can learn more about BuildHR at yourhrsource.com. Well, that's all we have time for today. If you're not a member of one of Forbes Councils and are interested in joining, go to forbescouncils.com to see if you qualify. Thank you for listening. Please be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.